Hi gang, this is Carl, otherwise known as MG Ham Sale on my YouTube account. This is my first update on the progress I'm making on fixing the sills on my 1960 MGA. Now I still have not welded this in place, but what I have done is assembled the four pieces I was just showing you, and by spot welding, by actually using a MIG welder. And what I've done with the MIG weld is used a wonderful punching tool that you can get at Harbor Freight for punching holes just big enough to do nice plugs, and that's how I've assembled this. Then I also welded the seams along the flanges where the three pieces connected. So what I've got here is I've got the current assembled four pieces, the three pieces of the inner sill plate and the inner sill itself, the black thing, assembled together and clamped on the car. They're actually held in the front by a bolt that goes through that body mount, and you can see the curve that moves up at the end of the door. And I want to just show you that body mount on the inside of the car. And what I'm going to do is turn a light on the inside and give you a look at that. Okay, so moving inside the car, this is actually the side of the other side of the sill structure I was just showing you. There's the new body mount. Get my hand out of the way. There's the new body mount. Here's that bolt going through the sill hole in the inner sill plate, and it sits right down on the frame here. I had a broken off bolt over here that went into the frame, and I had to remove it. It was stuck very solid. So what I did was, using a trick I found on YouTube, I welded a nut to the bolt. The bolt was sticking up about 3/8 of an inch. I welded a nut to it. That not only gave me something to turn, but it also heated the bolt up, and it came right out. It was amazing. I was shocked it was so easy. So that's a good trick to look at, how to remove a rusted bolt by welding a nut to it. So that's what I did on that. I'm a real amateur when it comes to welding, so you probably noticed that from the quality of my welds. They're getting a little bit better, but not great yet. Okay. Now I want to show you a couple of other things I'm working on over here. Up at the top, this is the B-post area, and I've got a new piece here, complete with sound effects here. I got a new piece. This piece fit perfectly. I got it from Scarborough Fair. Cecilia was great. I went up there because I'm located in Rhode Island and she's in Providence. And I went up there and she let me pick from her stock to pick the one I thought was the best, which people who are doing mail order can't do that, but she's really been wonderful to me. Anyway, this piece is going to go up in here like that. Okay, so that's the way it goes. And it'll weld down onto this inner sill. But before I can get this piece on, I had to do some repairs. So the first repair, this, as you can see, this, when I took the rocker off here, which is about all that I had connecting the front half of the car to the back half, this piece is just hanging loose. And it's not connected to the inner sill yet. It's supposed to be, originally connected. This is all rotted away here. This is supposed to be steel here. And up here, I had a nasty hole. I kind of made it worse myself when I took off the fender. There's a bolt going through that area, and it was solid. And when I got a little impatient, and I kind of pulled at it with a pry bar. Next thing you know, it came out, but it came out and left me a nasty hole. You can see a similar hole over inside on the other side, much smaller, right there. But I probably will end up with a repair to do on that side also. Okay, so over here what I did was I built a piece to fill in this hole. Now while I was doing that, this area was very weak, and these three screw holes were all rusted solid. I had to cut out the old weld nuts, grind them out, and cut out the spot welds for them with a spot weld cutter. And I noticed that this metal is very thin, And replacement parts often come with an actual plate that you can weld in here. But I found the plate I got from one of my vendors, in this case it was from Clark, didn't quite line up on the upper hole. And furthermore, I wanted metal to go all the way up under here because I got like Swiss cheese on the other side of this, which I'll show you in a second. So what I did was I made a new piece that fills in this area, bends out, and then comes over here. So here's the pattern I made. It went in there like that. Like that. So I made a paper pattern. I bent it the way you see this pattern built, bent, and then I welded in place. And it was a butt weld all the way around here and all the way through here. Now I had metal here because the piece bends in here and then over here. I did some spot welds, plug welds over here, and then I welded the seam. My welding's not so great here, it doesn't look beautiful, but in this part of the car it's going to be completely hidden. And it's very strong, which is what I'm really looking for. This is strong. I've still got a couple of little difficult to fill pinholes, which I've been working. That hole right there was quite a bit bigger, so I'm going to do some more work on that. On the other side of this piece, if I can show you, there it is. Let's see. Okay, so up here, this was all holes, and the inner piece that I made is actually welded to the front of this now, and it needs some more work. I need to weld and fill this in more, but behind that is that piece that I built from the pattern, and that's Swiss cheese is going to get filled in and ground back and look beautiful, and it's much more solid than it was originally. Now, the next problem on this B-post is down here in this rotted area. Now, you might have seen that in the previous posting to YouTube, where I gave my introduction on what I'm doing. So this is what I'm working on now. And what I have done, this is complicated by the fact that this area is raised this way by about 3/8 of an inch or so. And then it bends down. But this is all rotted. So what I'm going to do is cut along this line here, squaring this off a little bit. You can't see this, the fender covers it and everything, so I'm going to make it very hard to do something complex shape like this round original. I'm going to cut it off straight here, and then I'm going to put in a replacement piece. So what I did was I made a pattern, and again, if you notice where I've got my weld of my rear and middle parts of the inner sill, there's a flange here, and in this case, the way the parts lined up, the flange was not completely covered. And these are a couple of spots I used to weld the two pieces together. What I'm going to do, since I don't like that, and I wanted to have the connection between this piece and this piece to be very strong, is I've made another complex repair piece that is going to go in like this. And so what that's going to do is fill in this gap here between the previous two welded pieces. I'll grind this down better, and I'll fill this in. I've got a flange along the bottom of this that's going to go on the outside here and then flange in so that the metal that gets welded in there will be on a flange spotted to here, and then it'll be flush at the correct width of this inner sill piece going all the way up to here. Here's the piece. I've been making it today. It took me all day. It's quite complex, but this is the way it's going to be. So I wanted to take you can see that I've made flanges along the bottom and also holes for spot welding. The puncher works great. Same thing, more holes at the top. Another flange at the top and another flange going down the bottom here. So that's going to go in there like that. This square piece, once I cut this out, is going to fit in flush. It'll be welded up into here. And on the next video, I'll show you whether it fit well or not. Now I've cut a couple of grooves in the top of this piece here and here. And that is because inside this B-post are flanges, and I want the flanges to clear all at the same depth, so I don't have places where the flange is not flat against the repaired metal. So I've made a couple of grooves in this repair piece to clear those flanges. And the nice thing about the pattern making is you get your pattern, get it roughed in, and then you do your final fitting as the part gets placed ready. Okay, so here is the repair piece that I made to connect the side of the car to the top of the sill. The standard components that you can buy come up to here, and I needed to fill some rotted out space over in here that was just hanging there after I removed the old B-post. So I made this piece. It's got flanges down here and flanges up here so I can plug weld it to the side. This side of the car is never visible because it's covered by the B-post and by the fender. So what I did was I built this piece. After I had it built, I did some preliminary cuts over here for alignment. When I was happy with the fit of that, approximate fit, I took this off. I took the sill assembly off, and I plug welded the repair piece to the sill assembly, and I got it grounded down, got it nice and flat. Looks very good, very strong. I'm very happy with it. Let me show you how well it fits on the inside of the car. The inside of the car is covered by panels, so you never really see this, but you can, at any rate, you can see the nice effect of the flanges. Everything is pretty much flush here. It's one continuous piece. The part over here is rather a complex shape, but the little flange that I bent and the fact that I cut it straight, it makes a pretty good close appearance to original, especially once it's welded up. I may tinker with trying to fit that a little better, but I'm quite happy with it now. You can see on this side that this piece that I bent to fill in that hole is still sticking out here. I may cut that off, or I may bend it up, and I would probably bend it up here and plug weld it here, just make it that much stronger. Now let me show you. Here is the replacement B-post that I got from Scarborough Fair. It will go in up here like this. The flange at the bottom over here, because I cut out on the repair piece, the flange fits in here flush. So everything will go in flush and will come right down to where I have the inner sill. It looks like somehow my inner sill got a little bit off height-wise, the flanges, so I'm going to bend these flanges later so that they come down right on top of the inner sill. And that won't move any of the B-posts, but it'll make it easier to weld it together.